why don't you just give us a backstory before we get started on how you found StreetText, and you can kind of guide people along the way on trial and error to get to where you're at today, and then we'll introduce some material.
Okay.
Go for it.
Well, so you guys know I came to real estate teaching. I think that's important to mention. So I came into real estate with no reserves, none. And I went full time, so I really just had to sink or swim. And I was sitting at an open house because obviously open house is free leads, right? And I was doing that every single weekend. And I'm thinking, gosh, this is a slow open house. And I saw this StreetText free trial, and I thought, what in the world is this? And seriously, I was kind of nervous about it because I had to spend the $9 a day just for the ads. And I was like, well, okay, I'll go out on a limb and I'll spend, the $60 for the free trial and not pay for StreetText. And during my free trial, not knowing what was going on, I was able to secure an appointment, which later turned into a listing and a closing. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to use that to pay for my year. And that's how it started with StreetText.
Okay, so that's how you got started. What was your daily ad spend? What funnel were you using? How are you responding to the leads? When did it start working?
So at first, I mean, like I said, it was all or nothing. I mean, $60 was a lot for me, and why it was $60 was I was spending the $9 a day, which, believe it or not, I'm still doing now. I might turn on a second ad for fun, but really, I spend my $9 a day. I started with that tried and true listing one that was how much is your home worth, and it's the one with the three numbers, 1, 2, 3. Enter your address, get a valuation. Um, and the leads were pouring in before I could really do anything with my automations. And that's why I really always say StreetText works. If you want it to work better, that's where the personalization and all of that comes in. So for me, it was baby steps. I get very overwhelmed. And so rather than get overwhelmed, I allowed the leads to come in. I followed up with them. I provided them all valuations, and I tried to text and call. And then eventually I added on BombBomb, which for me was really very important with it. I thought not only with the great ads and the automations, but now they can see me. I don't even know if people watch all of my video, but to me it's not the point. They get to see a movement. They get to see me a little bit better. And for me, I always started connecting on Facebook as well. I reached out and tried to message all of the leads from there and develop some sort of rapport. And I still keep in touch with some of them, believe it or not, and ones that have never sold or thought of selling their house. And they have led me some referrals, believe it or not.
So there's going to be ranges of everybody on this meeting tuning in. There's going to be some people that are brand new in trial. Some people that have been with StreetText as long as you have, maybe even longer. So if you can give one piece of advice to start, and we're going to get into some of the details of your follow-up, where does it begin? What does someone have to do before they think about, like, is StreetText going to be a fit for me, or should I look into something else, maybe some other lead generation?
I think the number one thing is that it works by itself. The setup is there. The ads are made. So my thing is, don't get too overwhelmed with adding a bunch of things, a bunch of videos. If you do something every day that you're with StreetText to personalize or streamline your system, it will work. And I think something else I would say is, just like any other lead service, which you guys are not. I mean, honestly, StreetText has blown everything out of the water. But I will say this: you're always going to get leads that are duds, or you're always going to get leads that don't really want the valuation. And here's what I find to be important. Sometimes it's not just about setting that appointment and getting the meeting, because, like I said, and this has happened on more than one occasion, some people that are getting this free valuation, number one, they think it's cool. They think it's cool that someone locally worked on something for them. And they have friends. So if you're top of mind with them and they're thinking, my friend was just talking about it, she would probably like a free valuation. they will give word of mouth. And so what I find really interesting is some of these leads that people think, oh, well, they're lost. If you can change that focus and say, okay, they're never selling. They clearly told me they're never ever selling. If I can change that conversation now to, I saw on Facebook your daughter graduated, congrats, that's great. And just be a person with them, they're going to like you. And when they like you and know you and trust you, if they can't use you, they're going to share your information with someone. I have a yard guy that's from, he's like a high school kid. He is now doing the entire neighborhood word of mouth because he does a great job and people like him, but he never asked for business. He's just awesome.
So we're talking sellers, correct? We're talking mostly focusing on building your listing pipeline. How much of time do you spend on really dialing your ad performance as opposed to just really focusing on follow-up? Because there's got to be this healthy balance, right?
Mhm.
And I'm just looking at your ads, and I'll share that for everybody to see, because I feel like a lot of people in the beginning are so hyper focused on finding the lowest cost lead
Mhm.
and doing everything they can to split test and A/B test to get to like this like magical unicorn ad. And all these leads are pouring in. And in the meantime, the follow-up, the process becomes the main priority. And sometimes I tell people, before you even think about that, almost consider reverse engineering the process. Almost consider putting yourself in your own funnel, giving your funnel to a bunch of people that you respect, colleagues, or even friends, and saying, hey, put your information in here. Tell me if this is an experience that would cause you to have a conversation with me. And, are you getting it? Is it going to folders? What does the text message feel like? So kind of walk me through that, because I mean, you have a pretty good solid ad. You are split testing and A/B testing, and it seems like you're using consistently the same funnel.
Mhm. Yes. Yeah, I do use the same funnel. And I tweak it over time. But it's funny you say that because I know a lot of you in here, you're a little bit more rigid with your time. You guys know that I'm not like a time blocker. I have hours each week that I dedicate to certain things, and I always do them. I never miss it. If I can't do it on a Monday, I can't do my education. That's one of my things, or I can't create new things like open house designs or new email, templates. I make sure I do that the next day or the day after. So for me, the way it looks is everything stays as is. I've tweaked all of the automations StreetText has given us, because StreetText has already created a funnel for all of us. And I've added emojis. That's a big one if you look at marketing. So that was the first thing, Marcus. And then from there, if I look at my open rate and I see that over time one is not performing very well, I adjust the subjects. That's the big thing. So you can tweak the wording inside of the automations, like within the email. You can add a video, you can add a little emoji, but really the big thing that's going to catch someone is the subject. So that has been something I have focused on. And you asked me how often I do it. So, like I said, I really break mine down into weeks. So I have create as 4 hours a week. 4 hours a week, I create whatever. It can be pop by gifts, it can be open house like design, it can be buyer information sheets. So during that 4 hours a week, I go back and I look at what's already existing and how I can change it. I finished my course 3 or 4 days ago, maybe 5 days at this point, and I've already changed one of the emails that I send out. So I went back to the course and I updated it. And so for me, it's a constantly like a weekly thing that I just do on a circle. So everything naturally changes. In fact, in my course, you will see 3 different valuation videos that I've done since being with StreetText. And I showed that because it's okay. And actually, believe it or not, the first video was getting more results than my second improved video. So my third video was more a spin-off off the first one. So I think it's a constant kind of thing. And you asked me how I use StreetText. I know a lot of us are busy and we're out and about all the time. When I am not out with clients and I'm not in a meeting at my firm or, in a Zoom meeting, I'm on StreetText. So what I do is I literally set up my computer, StreetText dashboard is up. And during that time, and you'll see more in the course, I'm either doing the valuations for new leads, following up with leads, or starting at the very end of my lead, my page 47, and I'm looking at the oldest lead and I'm picking up the phone and I'm calling them, or I'm doing a little video. Hey, it's been so long since we've chatted. How's everything going? Are you still remodeling? Whatever they're doing. And that's my day. And then I go about my day and go on to appointments and help buyers and sellers. And then when I come home and it's my work day, my computer's open and StreetText is up. So that's how I use StreetText. It's my anchor.
Just to give you some credibility and to toot your horn a little bit, I think, it's nice for everybody here, 111 people here. Some people know your success, some people don't. So you've been with StreetText for 18 months, is that correct?
I think 19 months now.
Okay, 19 months. And since then you've closed 18 deals?
19 deals.
19 deals. All right,
Yeah.
Sorry, I was one off. So 19 deals, so you're averaging one a month.
Right. And and here's the thing, guys, of course, I have past clients and other referrals. So StreetText, while it's my business, it really is, you still have your other clients, or if you're getting, other lead sources, that you're not paying for. StreetText has really changed, though, my business, because as a new realtor, as you guys all know, the buying side's easier to get. So I was working with all buyer clients, and before I started with StreetText, I only had one listing, and it was an old buyer client. It just worked out that they needed to sell like some investment property, so it worked out. When I started doing the StreetText and StreetText ads, I became a listing agent. And listing property is really the way to go. I mean, I like working with my buyers, but it really is amazing how the sign in the yard and the advertisement and having others advertise your listing, it brings you naturally more listings, more buyers. So it has completely shifted my business and expanded. I think I did well for a single agent, and I'm right now at that cusp where I'm going to have to get a little assistance. I would have never been at that point. And, Marcus, you and I were just talking about this. It's all about being strategic and knowing when it's time to expand and grow. And so StreetText really will allow you to do that for not a lot of money. I mean, it's been incredible because other lead sources, not only were they way more money, but you don't know who you're talking to on the phone. When I have an issue, I know you, Marcus. I can get you. And if I can't get you, I'll just tell you and talk to your wife. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
You will.
you guys are very accessible. So I think that's been part of it, is between the coaching and these masterminds and our Facebook group. I mean, I've made some really good friends in here, and there's a lot of you in here that I talk to on the phone at least once a week. And I think that's really powerful. So I think all of it together makes it work.
Yeah, no, and we had a question that came up right away that was, how many of your deals actually had phone numbers compared to the ones that did not? Do you track that, or how many of those can you relate?
Yeah, you know what? Do I track that? Marcus, if I track that. Okay. I'm not great with all those specifics, but no, the number of things actually never bothered me. And I know for certain that really, as long as most of my leads came from address with email. I don't even know so much about phone numbers because, to be honest, talk about growing, right? That's my one area I get nervous at on the phone. Not to talk to like people I know, but to call someone I don't know, even when they've asked for me to. I have to take a deep breath, and it takes me a second. I do it, but my first resource is actually to send a text. I feel like it's a little less in your face, and I don't sweat it. So I would say that no, the important thing really for me is that email access and that Facebook connection. And if it's an address only, I'm still working on that. I was telling Rob yesterday, I don't want to spend all the money on the postcards as a rule. So what I do is I print it out, I use my QR codes, get them back to filling out the rest of their form and connecting that way. But I don't think the phone number is as important.
Okay, and I'm gonna just share my screen real quick because I think, I want to really ask, who is this before? Like, because we know, we released that course with Janky recently, and I think a lot of people who resonate with Janky were teams focused, ISA, pick up the phone, role play type of thing. I'm actually quite excited about this one because I think actually a majority of StreetText users are more like you. And maybe I'm wrong, but bias because I like you so much. But the way you communicate, the way you leverage video in your email, the way you connect with people on Facebook, you are a sole proprietor, you're a single agent, you do everything on your own. I think that's a lot of people at StreetText. It's like, I don't have the team, I don't have the ISA, I don't have the assistants. I am my own team. I am my own ISA. I use Julie that way too. So who would you say this course would be for, Jenifer?
I appreciate that. And I love Jonky, by the way. We talk all the time. Here's what I'm going to say. And you know that I don't do well with scripts. So I'm just going to be honest with all of you guys, like 100%. Here's what I think. I think there are some people that feel more comfortable with mailers, and there's some people who feel more comfortable getting on video or having a conversation. Neither one is wrong. And honestly, I think paired together, talk about powerful, but we don't all have the same skill set. And what I find is this, I do feel that I'm a very competent agent. I went from teaching to capping my second and my third year with my company. And now this year I'm in line to be an icon agent, which means you cap and do 20 transactions after. And honestly, like at this point, I'm like pulling my hair out because I'm finally busy. Thank goodness. But I think that my course is really for people that you are either a single agent or you're new, or you've been a successful agent for years, but you feel very comfortable talking to people and being personal with people. I feel like if someone would get a chance to know me, that they would use me. And so that's more my strategy. In my course, you're going to see different videos that I send out with my emails. I'm going to walk you through how to create a BombBomb template. Someone asked what BombBomb is. It's just a website or a format that you can basically purchase so you can include videos in your emails and texting, and it tracks your open rates. It's very good and it's not too expensive. But I'm always very concerned with money. For me, it's about return on investment. I spend $9 a day doing an ad. When I have like 5 closings in a month, because we all know we'll have a month where we feel unemployed, right? No closings. Then I have a month where I feel like I could buy a Lambo. I don't know. So what I do is those months that I feel like that, I run 2 ads. Why not? I pour the leads in. So I think that it's relatable for those of you who feel like you either need to be more busy or you're busy but need help with organization. I'm constantly tweaking it. And the thing that I really want to say about the course, and thank you, Troy, for finding this platform. The platform that the course is on, or maybe it was Jonathan, I don't know, is called Thinkific. And what's great about this is, as the teacher, when I change something, I'm changing it on the course. So when you buy this course, just like I tell my leads, right? You can check the link over and over. It's always going to change. I'm constantly tweaking the course. So as we learn new things together, I'm going to put it in one place for you. And mine talks, there's information about mailers, but it's not the postcards. It is, my mom's calling me and she just messed up my flow. Hold on. So there's like some mailers in there, but the postcards to me are too expensive. And honestly, I'm someone that opens my mail and my postcards go right in the trash. So for me, I like to put it in an envelope. And once a week, I handwrite something on my little template with a QR code to bring them back to fill out the rest of their form. And that way they get to see that someone took the time to write something to them. And it costs me, I don't know, 30 cents. To me, that's smart business. And I always say it, and I'll say it again for like the millionth time. For me, just like what I tell my sellers that are listing up property, you have a choice. You have a choice between time, convenience, and money. So you're right. There's people like Junkie who are very successful. My gosh, she's so educated and she's got this huge team. And there's other people like Wendy too. She's got a team. She's very successful. They have more money, as far as I'm going to use this money and pay someone to take care of the leads, or I'm going to pay for this automation. For me, I like less convenience, but not spending as much money. And when I get to that point, maybe I would do that. But for me, I don't want to right now. It's a control thing. I want all the control over what's going out.
You know what I really love that I always found about you is you're relentless in your pursuit of getting the communication to that person. And when, a lot of people will set up their automations and let it do its thing, but it's like a percentage game, right? It's like 50% opens this one, 35% opens day 3, and then it kind of continues down that route. Where with you, from what I've learned from you, is that you've got your own personal email opens upward of 90%.
Mhm.
And that, in my mind, is like, that's the ticket. Because if you now use something like video and you're communicating how you're looking to help and contribute and give information to this person, and they're opening it and they're watching it, and if there's links in there, they're clicking on it. I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more, because naturally, if that's happening, it's just a matter of time when they, really start liking you, Jenifer. I mean, who's not going to like you? So I think that's
I'm
ultimately
going to let my husband know that and remind him when he throws me some attitude that I'm likable.
that's what this business is all about, I think. I mean, we're in a relationship-based business.
Right.
And I think part of that is we forget that it is the know, like, and then trust model. And someone's got to get to know and like you to feel like they can trust you with somewhat of the biggest decision they're ever going to make in many ways financially.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
so I think that's important. So is that go over that in the course, like how to become proficient in your communication via email, how to get those opens, like, how to structure your email signature,
Yeah,
certain,
and
certain ways.
I really thought it would be important, so I included actually some research, about marketing, because who has time to go through all that? But there's been great studies and research done on, getting your higher open rates. Number one, with emojis, right? So I talk about that in there. I link to other sites that describe it in depth, but I give an overview of why it's important and when to use it. So because I think too many emojis looks childish or spammy, but just enough is right. According to all the other research, people smarter than me. Another thing I go over is the use of numbers in subject lines. So yeah, I do talk about that because that was something really important to me. Um, you know, we're targeting really this social media platform. You know, there's other ways of doing business. We all know that. We've seen the billboards. You've seen the people that are on the golf cart scorecards, right? Advertising. There's all different ways to get business. And for me, social media has always been my primary. I'm not a girl that does a lot of mailers. I've done some. It's not my thing as a primary focus. To me, they're very expensive for very little return. Whereas on Facebook, even though some of them may not be right away, I feel like if I can make friends with them through the automation or my video, or hopefully finding them on Facebook, I feel like long term, either them or their neighbor or their family member, they're going to come back to me because I've engaged with them.
By the way, that's a cool ad. That must be new. Did you just create that?
I did. Constantly changing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
to me, okay, I'm going to be really dorky, guys, and you're going to see this in the course. So, okay, here's your little snippet. My principal, my favorite principal, he used to say, when you're green, you grow, and when you're ripe, you rot. And like a dork, I say it all the time, but you have to constantly tweak and learn. And sometimes you guys will share stuff in the mastermind, and I'm like, oh, I got to add something just like that. And you have to constantly tweak because everything changes all the time. I mean, nothing stays the same.
So I love it. I love it. I mean, let's just go into just a small snippet. And I mean, so this is the course right here. This is the welcome to the course. Who's going to benefit from your course, which you kind of talked about a little bit. The setup and growth mindset. How do you get started? How that was your backstory. This is kind of you talking about your time block schedule. And then the social part. Do you want to kind of go through this a little bit, Jenifer? I mean, maybe kind of talk about
I think you're doing fantastic, Mark. No, okay,
I don't want to be. I don't want to be about. I want to be all about you. So if there's anything particularly that, I love that you're giving people a good idea of how much time they need to block out.
And that's not. I mean, I know that there's some people in here that work full time and do real estate full time as well after work. So don't think that you can't do this. But yeah, I talk about how I time block, even though it's not really a time block, it's too rigid. So I go over that, how I structure my day to day and my week to week. Then I talk about one of the elements on my schedule, my not time block schedule, is social. And that's where we're improving how we're interacting on social media, posting business related things, personal things. It goes into depth about how I do that in the realm of StreetText as a framework. Okay. And then I talk about the create portion of my schedule. And what I mean is, one of the things that I add hours to each week is creating. It could be creating anything real estate related. It could be creating brochures. It can be creating a new ad on StreetText. So I go into different things that I've created. I give my examples and show you how I've created them. And then I give other ideas that may not even be about StreetText, just real estate related. A portion of my schedule every week goes through follow-up, right? So I follow up, I think it's, a few hours every day. And if I can't, I shift it over to a different day. And I talk about all of the emails that I send out in my seller funnel. And I talk about all the emails I send out in my buyer funnels, because I do both. And it'll go step by step and give examples of each. There's a lot of video examples in mine, videos I've sent out to other people, not just me telling you what to do. Education is on my schedule every week, and I talk about examples of the education and examining our systems that I do every single week. Home valuation emails and follow-up are all in there. Talk about how to even make templates within BombBomb. I talk about how I follow up with leads, and I go through that whole process.
Wow. I'm going to take the course 100%, top to
You
bottom.
better, Marcus.
Anyone have questions? Because this is a perfect time. I mean, because there's some good stuff in there. I see you. Unmute yourself. Ask away. Because let's get into some of you guys are actively using it, and ask Jenifer personally.
I have one. This is Liza. When you were talking about going back to your initial contacts and you email them a little video of yourself, are you using StreetText's email, or are you using your own CRM?
So the first email that they get back, you mean the one that says, "Hey, I got your evaluation request. I'm working on it. I'll be back in touch." That one?
No. When you're following up on older leads.
Gotcha. Okay, so good question. So what I do is, the automation that we're using with StreetText that they've set up for us is about 9 months long. It lasts that long. So part of my create, I can add in different emails. And now I'm focusing on extending that out. However, what you're talking about, no, I go back through my old leads and I just make a quick video on my phone, or I send them a quick text message, or I call them, or I just send them an email. So no, that's unscripted. And one more thing just to throw in there, I heard someone the other day and they were talking about how they had to make all these videos a bunch of times. And that could be your style. And there's some people in here more formal. I'm a little bit less formal, just how I'm more comfortable. If I sneeze in the middle of a video, that's it. You get my sneeze. Hello. Like to me, I would get more and more nervous. Like, I watch myself and I see my crooked mouth all the time. It drives me nuts. Okay. So I don't watch it. If my dog walks by and barks or howls, it is what it is. Now you know what you're getting.
I love that. Because that's
I do. They need to see the real you, and I love
relatable.
That. Yep.
Right.
Jenifer, it's Rob. Quick question for you. When you get an email and the address, of course, they don't leave you their name or their phone number. sometimes you can tell it's their email and then go to the records and it's Joe Johnson and his email's Johnson, J, whatever. You can pretty well tell who it is.
Yeah.
But a lot of them you can't. What are you going, taking a different approach then? Not knowing, really can't tell who it is. If it's a renter.
Same thing.
Same thing? Okay.
Hey, it's been a while. You reached out about 123 ABC Street. You
What
ready for
what about the initial one? The initial one.
Oh, same thing.
Okay.
Well, the initial one, the automation goes out. Hey, okay, my video that goes out through the automation is generic, right? It sounds like it's not generic, but then the valuation just started with hi. And you know how one of the options is hi contact name? I never do that because some people would put fake name, you know? And I don't want them to know because then it feels not personal, right? Then they're like, okay, he doesn't know. I mean, he just put in, hey, fake name. So to me, it defeats the whole You know what, Rob? That's why I don't use HomeBot. I know a lot of you love HomeBot and I'm not dissing it. I had one of my girlfriends who was in StreetText. She used HomeBot and she sent it to me. And to me, it felt not personal. So to me, I was like, well, that defeats the whole purpose of trying to be personal when they're getting like a report that doesn't seem custom. But that's just me. I know it works.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
And I would agree with you, Jenifer. And I think HomeBot's awesome, but you would want to integrate that with BombBomb and then help people identify how to tune the market value within HomeBot, right? Because you really emphasize that it is a computer generated number, and for them to get an analysis that they can rely on, that they can depend on, they would meet with you.
Kim, I see your question. You have so many people who don't want to receive the Julie text, so I have to turn it off. Why is this happening? So I don't know what they're saying, but first of all, it's not you, right? It's Julie. So bad Julie, shame on her.
Yeah.
And but when she texts them, if they're like, oh, I didn't give you permission to text, well, guess what? It naturally shuts it off. But I always try to respond anyway. And I say, oh, I'm so sorry. Your phone number was provided. I'll definitely stop. And then I put an emoji or, you know, a GIF that's like, whoa. I try to make it funny because sometimes you'll win people over that way. But otherwise, it wasn't me. It was that Julie chick. I don't know. She's crazy. I can't believe she texted you at 9 o'clock at night. Unbelievable.
Hey, Jenifer, this is Jenifer.
Hi.
Hey, how are you? Can you talk a little bit about what is most effective, like your subject line and what content wise on that first, you know, how much content are you providing them at that first email? That's what can I do that will really back in?
So, okay, so I do talk about that, but I'll tell you, number one, an emoji. So you see I have my video emoji by Quick. Okay, so I do that. I send a short video, but here's actually something that I find really important. And I know that some of you are not going to agree with me, and that is fine. I feel like if I click on an ad and it says free, you're going to get a free valuation or a free home CMA report or whatever it says, right? I feel like if I give them something that has this big $50,000 range, well, now I'm like, okay, well, never mind. They didn't do anything. So for me, the most important thing I do is I make sure that the range I give them, I try to be within 10,000, no more than that. No more than that. So I do that and I try to keep it short. I have my Calendly link inside and a link to meet with me on Facebook. But the most important thing I think at the beginning is your subject lines. It's an emoji, and if you can include a number. So a lot of my subject lines include a number, and I don't know why, but that's what I researched, you know, when I was researching all this stuff. It's the teacher in me. So I stay up late at night, like researching stuff.
And what do you mean by a number? Like
one of my emails is 3 reasons you should choose me as an agent. I just made up that number. I don't know why, you know, 7 tips to sell your house faster. And I'll try to include an emoji. Now, not every single one. I don't want them being like, oh, every time I get an emoji, it's that Jenifer chick. So I try to change it up a little bit. And it is in there, Jenifer. I do talk about that in depth with my course. Like I give examples and links because that research is really important. And I don't typically have the time to do it all, but I've picked up little, keywords and things to do, and I'm constantly changing it. Like you guys that do mailers, I know that there's certain days of the week they tell you to mail your mailers. I don't know why. I only list houses on Thursday. It's almost become a superstition. Like seriously, I've had someone say they want their house listed on Tuesday, and I'm like, nope, I'm not your girl. Like it has to be a Thursday. That's what research says. Your house is going to sell for 5% more if you list it on a Thursday.
For the, because that's what I used to go by for the listing side of things is, oh, it has to be listed on a Thursday or Friday. But somebody in my office has turned around and said, but not with the market right now, because it's a seller's market. You can list something on a Monday at 7:35 p.m. and it's going to have the same effect. But I'm like, I like weekends.
I know, it's got to be a Thursday.
Okay. What about this? This is a good one. I'm curious about, because everybody does it differently. Do you try to get a conversation started before you send over that home value? Or do you shoot on getting that? Like, let's say I'm a lead. I come in, I provide my address and email. Your automatic video shoots out, or your email shoots off, like that one that we just showed.
Mm-hmm.
And do you go to your records to see if it was open, number one? And then number two, how do you proceed to follow up if they A, opened it, or B, didn't open it?
No, right away. If I'm sitting there and I see a lead come in, I'm going to call them right away. I don't even think about the automations going out. I want to get that phone call. If a lead comes in past 9 o'clock and my automations are off, I know they're sitting there with nothing, no email. So I might send them an email, because I don't want to text too late, but I might send them an email and say, hey, I just saw your request come over. I promise you I'm working on it. I'll get back to you tomorrow. And sometimes if they respond back, well, now we have a conversation going. But no, I don't get all crazy about the first emails open rate. I mean, I look on a weekly or a monthly scale to see if that one is getting open, but not on an individual basis. I do that with the actual valuation. When I do the valuation and I send it out, I'm looking in BombBomb, it will be open. It will be 100%. Like the only option that it won't be open is if it's a wrong email address. Otherwise, it's going to get open.
Okay, perfect. And so I know you're always changing things up and trying new things. Are you doing the home value as a screen recording, BombBomb?
Okay, that's a great one, Marcus. So it depends on how busy I am. And for those of you guys that are like, what's he talking about? I have a video, and literally the video is like this. That's what the beginning of it looks like. And Marcus could probably show you. And above it in the template, when I send out the email, I put for their evaluation a picture of their house above. And my video that's been already pre-recorded is like, hey, I got a picture, or I know what your house looks like, and here's your valuation. I pulled up the research, the data, and all the comps in your area, and I want to show you a range, assuming your house is in good condition, yada, yada, yada. Maybe we should meet, blah, 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 end of story. Then underneath, I have my little template. This is what the internet's best guess is. I put it. And then I put my $10,000 range. And you guys are probably thinking, well, how do you give them such a specific range? Well, if you go by the numbers in MLS, unless you're in a rural area, it's not going to lie. The only thing that's going to change that is if they've had extravagant, renovations, or if their house is in bad condition. But you have to assume the house is in good, generally updated condition.
So do you do the Zillow, Trulia, Realtor, thinks your home's worth thing, or do you?
I used to, and then I got bored of that. So now I only do one. So I choose the very lowest one, and I say, realtor.com thinks your house is worth, $203,000, but they have no clue what they're talking about. And then I put, based on my comps, based on area research, this is what I think we could list your home for, or position your home in the market. That's what I say.
That's the good
Position.
one.
Yeah.
So I have a question. With purchasing this, it's a one-time purchase and we've got access to it for ever?
For life.
The life of StreetText or
And
whatever?
what that means is when you go on and you're like, hey, can you show me how you just changed that video I'll be like, okay, I'll go ahead and I'll change it in the course, and then I'll change it. That's what's so cool, is the course can change as StreetText and real estate changes, and I'm constantly going to add to it, because I think that's where the value comes from. I mean, otherwise it's an encyclopedia. It just gets stale, right? I mean, everything always changes.
Yeah, because I mean, I've had success with StreetText. I've had one listing. I've got another one coming up. I've got conversations. I actually just had another woman call me this morning who I've met in person. But there's something that I've got to disconnect somewhere. So everything that you're saying, I'm like, I agree with all of that. And I think that just might be, I try to make it personal, but having that like, do this, and this, and you're going to get this.
Nicole, I feel you. And that's what I mean. Like, I so relate to all of it, because I'm telling you, sometimes StreetText is so busy. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's all at once. Everybody wants to meet. Fantastic. This last month since the election, it's like crickets, right? But tons of leads, crickets. And the way I think about it is, now that I've been with them for almost 2 years, right? I realize this is real estate. As soon as you're ready to go on vacation, that's when all of a sudden everyone needs you, like they couldn't live or breathe air without you. So what I've realized is, this is just natural, right? We just had an election. We've had a lot of stuff with Corona, this and that. So whatever it is, all of these leads that are coming in, they're still getting your email. They're looking, the ones that you see open and you're like, I guess they're not going to respond, like, for real, but they do, they will. And it's going to be all at once. That's the thing. And it just goes kind of like in waves. So for me, as long as the leads are coming in, I'm golden. And I know a lot of you too think, how many people are you finding on Facebook or whatever? Honestly, about 25%. And of that 25%, I might be able to get half of them to be my friend. And then we're in, right? And I just keep trying the other ones. If they don't confirm your friend request after about a week, go in, deselect the friend request, and then friend request them again. Because I just saw before our meeting, no lie, there was like 10 of you that tried to be my friend. You probably thought I was a big brat. I just didn't see it. And it just went down the page, I guess. So don't feel like you're bothering them, because I think that's the thing. People really, they don't care. They don't know you at all until they make the connection. That's why I feel comfortable resending the valuation video until they open it, because I'm not important enough for them to remember until I am. They're not looking at me saying, gosh, she sent it 4.5 times. No, they don't care. They don't know. So keep sending that friend request, because eventually they'll accept you.
Hey, Jennifer, what do you do when you're doing a evaluation and the house has never been on the MLS in your area?
Yeah. Oh,
Or it's a
those are
newer
my
house.
favorite.
How do you, and you've got zero information.
Yeah. And Google, Maps shows nothing either.
Yeah.
So what I do is I go to tax records, because on tax records, what it does show you, number one, the appraised value, but number two, it tells you the building style. It'll tell you if it's brick, if it's hardboard, masonite. At least I can get an idea, right? And then I assume, based on the location, I'll do a range around it. If it's like 0.1 acres, like on a very small lot, I'll do a 1/2 mile radius. If it's a rural community and they're on 1.5 acres, then I do at least a 1 mile, then I'll try 2 miles, and just from there. I mean, because really it's numbers, right? And then they can tell me, well, my house was custom made with, things I brought in from Germany, luxury. And then I'm like, okay, well, great. I need to see this house.
You almost hope that you're completely wrong for them to say, you're off your rocker. Oh, well then tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe you should do that. Maybe that's a good way to do it, actually.
Right.
What steps do you take for address onlys, Jenifer?
Here comes my child. I'm in the middle of a very important meeting. You have to go.
That's real. Happens.
Seriously, send, right? That's what I do.
That'd be a perfect send.
Get out of the room. And then I press send, so they know what a nutcase I am. What was the question?
Address only.
Address only. Address only. Talk about a work in progress, right? So I use the tools that everyone sent. I'm not sending postcards. It's not my thing. Maybe once a year I'll send to those, but what I do is I look for them on tax records, and then I message them on Facebook if I can find them. If I don't get a response from there, I'm not going to totally super stalk them, right? I don't want to scare them. So I have a mail out that I show in my course, QR code, you write in it. So it's like a half template, half write in, and I'll send it to them by mail, handwritten. Costs me the cost of a stamp in an envelope.
Hey, Jennifer, I have a question. In your course, do you talk about the, because it's very frustrating when you send the video valuation, right? And they don't open that, right? Do you talk about that? Like, I want to be obsessed like you with the open rate percentage, and I have not been, get a lot of good numbers with that.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because actually that's where I have the best numbers. And I don't know that I go into tons of details on how to do it, because what I do say is if you do it in BombBomb, right, you can track and see if it's been open. And I do mention this, but I wait 24 hours, because we all know if we haven't seen an email or opened it in 24 hours, we're not opening it, right? Most of our stuff's on the next page, or we don't even think about it. So what I do, so they don't think I'm completely nuts, because I don't want to get the same email over and over, I send it, and all I do is I edit the subject line. So if my normal subject line is 123 ABC Street requested home valuation, I switch it to your requested valuation for 123 ABC Street. If that doesn't get open, I put attempt number 2, and then I put 123 Street, whatever. So I just switch up that subject line until it's open, and it will get open for sure. And I probably do that once a day. Once a day, I'll look at my BombBomb, what's not been open, and then I'll resend.
So I have a question. What if you you put together your CMA, they've opened your video, they've played your video, you send them something followed up, they don't want to talk to you on the phone, you follow up with a video, they open that, they play that. So clearly they're engaged with your content, like they're reading everything and watching everything, awesome. But yet when I reach out to actually get an appointment or chat a bit more, get feedback, blah, 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 they're like, I don't exist. But yet they're still opening all my shit. So what do you do then?
That's what we call pain in the butts, right?
Right.
So I still keep in touch with them, and I make it friendly because I see that they're opening. And for whatever reason, see, that's the thing. They don't know we're stalkers. They don't know that I can see that they've opened it 27 times. Have you seen people that open something like 100 times and you're like, that's so weird. Like, what is that? So they will come back though. In fact, one of my listings from StreetText was on there for a year, never spoke to me. And then one day they responded. So what I would say about those is continue the friendly dialogue every once in a while. Or my favorite thing, I love that guy. You guys will have to pull that up if you can find it. But I have this one email and it was like, did you get it? And it's Seth Rogen. It's a GIF of Seth Rogen with all his curls. And he's like, so sometimes if you send something completely off the wall, they're going to be like, oh, she knows that I'm just not answering her. But people hide behind a computer, it's personal, but then they feel like they can hide. So when they're ready, they'll reach out. Just keep being friendly.
So how far do you back off though? Like, for example, with a couple of them, they're a little bit older, like in their 70s. So I know they don't want to be inundated. So I put them on a monthly market report. So once a month, and I see they open that because I do it all through BombBomb. But so is that enough, or should it be every 2 weeks? I don't want to kill them, but
not to be ageist or whatever that would be. But in my head, I would think that maybe someone in their 70s, they like that handwritten note. Maybe if you have like little goodies, like I just got these little, everything's packed up. I just looked, but my whole life is packed up right now. This is the only thing in my house that exists. In fact, my computer, y'all, is on a box. I'm not lying. So anyway, but I have these little calendars that have my business card. Maybe send them something cute like that and say, I was thinking about you. I
sent like a to-do list and a kitchen measurement thing for the fridge with my card on it. So that's sort of what I Say that
So
again.
email them and say, did you get it? And then just say, hey, don't want to disturb you, but I'm hoping you got this. I was thinking about you the other day.
Yeah.
Or I just had a buyer interested in that area. You know, maybe it's a buyer you made up, but you know, a buyer interested in that area.
Probably.
Probably somewhere.
All right, thanks.
Hey, Jennifer, I'm a lead that comes in. I give you my details, right? I give you my email, my address. I give you my information about my home, time frame for selling, and name and phone number. So do you use Julie right away to try to get the text conversation started, or do you go and personally text, or do you just simply pick up the phone and try to make the call at that moment?
Honestly, I think it depends on my mood and what I'm doing. If I'm at home and I can take a deep breath and my son's not eating a piece of toast and walking around like he just did, like, yeah, I'll probably give them a call. And if not, Julie's great. Hey, Jennifer just walked in the office. She wants me to know she's working on your valuation next. Anything you want her to know? So I don't know. Like, to me, see, that's what I mean. That's why my schedule that I share in my course, it's not this rigid time block. I can't do it. Like, to me, everything is based on what's going on, my mood for the day. Like, so I just play it by ear. For me, it's more important about getting the contact, doing something in each framework, whether it's creating something new, whether it's my education for real estate, whatever it is. But you know, you have to be a little bit flexible with yourself, or it becomes mundane and it's not fun. And it has to be fun, or otherwise you're just going to get burnt out.
Yeah, I would agree. Do you use Julie, by the way, to confirm information sent? Like, if you have her, you have some information, you want to get their email, and then you're like, hey, just want to let you know, Jennifer just sent you an email, check your folder, like something like that personally?
All the time. Why not?
All the
Yeah.
time.
And that's the thing is, if people get mad at Julie, well, then I know how to play my cards when I go to call, right? So Julie plays my bad guy. I mean, she's very valuable, deserves a raise in my opinion. And I hear people all the time say they want to shut her off. And I'm like, no, because those same people that are finicky or nasty right away are going to be finicky and nasty right away with you. So you might as well let Julie annoy them. So when you come in, you're fresh. Now you can approach them differently. You know, they don't know that Julie is like not real. So yeah, Julie is my blame game for real. And so sometimes I use her right away. And if they're open and responsive, that's my cue. Now I know that these are client or customers that are very approachable. So I just play it by ear.
Do you edit her?
Yeah, when we first started our automations, I edited her, and I have tweaked her. In fact, just using some information from people in the insider group, I've tweaked it over time, threw in a quick little emoji, like a wave emoji, just something that feels natural. I think Wendy was really big proponent of that. You know, Wendy kind of changed up to make Julie have her own like voice, you know? So I tried to get inspired by that and realize that we don't want it to sound fake or computerized or scripted, because to me, there is nothing more off-putting than me feeling like I'm a number, or I don't have a name, or I'm just another person. I still have a Keller, they could be any agent, but I have an agent that texts me nonstop. And do you know how many times I've put, I'm a realtor, but you know what? I know that they're not even looking at the text. Like, I'm nobody. To me, that's the worst. I am somebody.
So have
Yeah,
you,
I mean, I know a lot of people. Oh, sorry, Nicole, go ahead.
have you gone through and edited the time frame in which Julie does her first auto response?
Troy, would you like to answer this?
Yeah, Jennifer really messed it all up. Here's the powerful thing. She was editing all of this, didn't really understand how the timing worked, yet it still worked. She's still getting people contacting her, still getting people reaching out. So I love that, because you can not get it perfect in your mind, but it can still work.
So let me tell you guys what I was doing so you don't make the same mistake. In that sequence, when you can change it, in my head, I thought when you changed it to like 2 days, that meant on day 2. And when you put 14 days, it meant on day 14. No, it means 2 days after the first response, 14 days after the response before that. So I probably had something for 3 years. It was a 3-year automation, right? and I still got business. So I told Troy, I'm like, do you know how many more closings I may have been able to have had, you know, stuff been going out? So I changed it correctly. And the way that I like to do it, here's my thought. And again, I don't know if this is right. I like the idea of blasting every day or twice a day. Right in the first 3 days, I touch them, I think, twice a day. And the reason is because I want to be top of mind, and then I spread it out further and further, every 2 days, every 4 days. But I think when they're the most interested, it's when they've clicked on the ad. And so I really tried to get with them. And what I do is, so they get that, hey, I got your request, I'm going to email your CMA. They get something from Julie, right? Well, within 24 hours, they're getting my CMA. Well, that same day, that night, or, you know, a few hours after that, they're getting, did you get it? Because I want them to tell me that they got it, even though I can see that they've opened it. I want an answer, any answer.
So, I mean, I've already purchased the course because I'm super excited. Do you like this, the time frame that you use, and these, like, I send this and this on day one, this and this on day two, is that all part of the course? Awesome.
Yes, yes. And it's constantly changing because I'm constantly changing stuff. I changed something last night. I have to add it. I changed my template. I thought it looked a little blah, so I changed it like at midnight. So I'll add it later.
I love that.
Wendy,
That's
how do I
great.
get a CMA done in 24 hours? Well, because here's what I'm giving them, okay?
Okay.
I type in their address, I pull up the picture of their house, I screenshot it,
Yeah,
okay?
I do that too.
Then I look for Zillow, Realtor, I find the lowest, whatever the lowest price is, okay? I put it in my template. You know, realtor.com thinks your house is worth like next to nothing. They're wrong. Then what I do is I go into my MLS, I enter the address. If it shows up, which it doesn't always, and I talk about that, but if it does, and you can pull a subdivision, I put the subdivision and I look at active, contingent, pending, closed for the last 12 months. I sort by square footage. I grab an average. I give a $10,000 range. It takes me all of maybe 5 minutes. To me, I've done my research. That is research. And assuming that everything is status quo with what's available in their subdivision, that they don't have a pool or some gourmet kitchen, the numbers should work, right? And I always go a little higher because we like to break records, right? So in this market, if I should list it 5 grand less, I'm going to list it 5 grand higher. And then I put the range from there because that's really what it would be. And so I find that they're very accurate. I very rarely have to change them. When I do, it's because there was repairs that needed to be done and they can clearly understand that, or they have some exceptional feature that they've added into their house and they can't wait to correct you on that. So it works out.
Okay, so it's taking me a lot longer than that to do my CMAs, so I think I'm doing too much work.
And Wendy,
well, it used to take me a lot longer. In fact, you know what I was doing on top of the screenshot and the online guesses and my 10,000 range, I then was going a step further and I was screenshotting the recent sales in their subdivision.
Right.
And I thought, what the heck am I doing that for? It's too much. And that's what I'm going to be giving them when I go to their house. So I scaled it back.
Okay.
Because I don't want them to have a report so they can go list it for sale by owner. And I've had that happen, you know, but to me, I get a better response doing a $10,000 range than if you put a big range. Because if you put a big range, what have you told them different than Redfin? You've told them nothing. That's my opinion though.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
It makes complete sense. And Wendy, Jenifer's in Canada, and I know someone on here was asking too, like, does all this information apply to us Canadians? And I think obviously you'd have to adapt to what software you have, right, available to you. But I think you could definitely adapt and tweak it up a little bit.
Yeah, I think that we here have access to a bit more sold information. I know that I'm working with some buyer clients, and when I say, I'll message them and say, oh, by the way, such and such property you were looking at the other day sold for 8, 9. You're like, oh yeah, we know. It's like, okay then. So yeah, at a bit of a disadvantage, but whatever, as long as you get to it quick enough. So
great stuff. Any other last minute questions before we let you guys go to lunch for you in the West Coast
I
and
have a
go about
question,
your day?
Marcus and Jennifer.
Yeah.
So I am very interested in the course as well. I'm just wondering how much time is it reasonable to spend on StreetText and social media combined? Because I feel like sometimes I'm spending like 6 hours a day. And I've only been on StreetText 3 months, so I don't know as much as you guys do. But I've had some leads. Some of them didn't qualify. No deals have gone through, but I've got conversations going, and hopefully that turns into something. But how much time is reasonable?
Like I said, I think it depends, because some of you work full-time jobs doing something other than real estate. See, for me, StreetText is my anchor. It is my day. So when you say you spent 6 hours on social media, to me, that's another day at work. I mean, think about the guys and gals at StreetText, right? I mean, they're on social media all day. It is their job. So for me, when I'm on StreetText, I may post, you know, what I'm eating, broccoli soup. It was fantastic. But I'm very like cognizant about getting my friends in lists. I use Facebook as a CMA or a CMA as a CRM. Seriously. So I think that if you can, like if you're not working another job and you're not out in an appointment, you're not helping a buyer or seller, what else are you going to do with your time? You can dive into different types of markets, right? I mean, you certainly could, but why? Because when you have StreetText, you can format your entire day around StreetText. And then when you have an appointment, you close the computer, you go do your appointment, you come home. If it's still your work day, my computer goes up, my leads are up, my StreetText is up, and I'm either on Facebook interacting with those leads, posting something, creating a new ad, split testing an ad. So I think 6 hours a day is great. I mean, if I'm at home, I'm on it 10 hours a day. And I know some of you guys are thinking, well, I can't do that. You know, I have this and that. It's fine. If you don't have that kind of time, like I said, the automations work anyway. So your job at that point will be to every day pick one thing you can personalize, one emoji you can add, one change of subject title you can do. And then from there, your contact to the leads, get your CMAs out. Very important, right? Because if someone really wants to sell, they're going to contact you. And whatever you can do beyond that to pick up the phone and call or to send out a letter, great. So I wouldn't stress about it. You could spend as much time. Most of my day is on StreetText, but that's just the way I've formatted my business. And that's it. It's just my framework.
And you go over in that course, Jenifer, you know, how often you're kind of checking in outside of the automation too, because let's say you've done everything to get that value their way, and then, you know, a month goes by and 2 months, 3 months, and I know you've been in with us for 18 months, and you say you go back to the very bottom from the very first contact and do a check-in. So you kind of go over that in your course too, and how often you're doing that?
I do. I don't know if I talk about how often, because to me, it's like a daily thing. Like last night, it was like 8 o'clock and I'm tired of packing, y'all. So I was just still on my computer. I went to the very last page of StreetText and I started to send up updated valuations. They didn't ask for it, but I couldn't get them on the phone because it was too late. I didn't want to be rude like that. And I didn't want to just email. So what I did was I have a snippet created on my Gmail. And all I had to do was add the range. Hey, I think your value has changed. I was just thinking about you. Here's your update. I've made contact with an old lead. They can open it. They can do nothing with it, but they may be thinking about it. And do you know what I discovered last night? And it infuriates me every time because it's on me. It's my fault. Someone from a year ago, year and a half ago, maybe, that said that they weren't interested in selling. I have notes in there. Oh, he wanted me to send him a little bit more information. Awesome. He's not looking to sell right now, though. Keep in touch, right? Well, then I say he didn't get in touch. No contact, no contact, no contact. I just looked. He sold his house 2 months ago. Whose fault is that? It's mine. So what it taught me was, okay, next time I'm going to create something for beyond the 9 months, automated, right? Because he was done getting my drips. So the only thing he had was when I go back to my old leads and touch base. And I missed the opportunity. And it would have been mine if I could have just got him right at the right moment.
Let's add in a longer drip. Hey, John. Thanks, guys, for coming. Jenifer, this has been amazing. Hopefully you guys saw the value in this. would definitely make take the opportunity, purchase the course. You're getting 50% off today. In my ways, like, this is the most exciting things that I've seen for StreetText in a long time, especially because you're all looking for a process to follow. Take it, make it your own. You don't have to do it verbatim. There's nothing saying do exactly what Jenifer does. You have to put your personality on it. You got to make it your own. You might even look at Janky and say, I'm going to take what I've learned from her course. I'm going to take what I've learned for Jenifer's course, and everybody else that talks about what they post in the group. Melissa Porter had a phenomenal script that you should look at in the announcement section, where she was just, texting people or emailing to send some pictures over, and she got 4 listing appointments. There's a lot of cool ideas going on in that group. You just got to pull them and make it your own.
Wendy, your cat is ridiculous. I can't believe your cat sits like that.
Oh, yeah. He's a rescue.
Jennifer,
So.
Okay, Wendy, this is where your videos have to be. This is how you introduce yourself. Hey, I'm Wendy. This is my cat. No, I'm serious. Try one like that.
100%. 100% do it.
Really? All right.
Yeah.
Let's give
Just
it a
like
shot.
that.
I'm going to get
Jennifer, quick question. Do you teach how you engage on Facebook, how you stalk them on Facebook, or how you find them on Facebook and all that in your course?
I think it's mentioned. I do give a template of what I message them, but I don't know that I go into details about it. However, I can direct you where it's been talked about on StreetText, because they actually do talk about that, how you have to make sure you click people.
Yeah.
So when you search the name, click people, look by city, and if not, like, I don't spend that much time. Like 1 or 2
So,
minutes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I
I
was
spend
just
1 or
saying-
2 minutes, and if I can't find them, I can't find them.
We do that
Gotcha.
every Tuesday, by the way, on the conversion workshop. So if you ever wanted to really go into Facebook as a CRM, we can talk over that on Tuesdays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Okay, thank you.
Great. All right, we'll let you go. It's 12:15. Thank you so much, Jenifer. We appreciate
Thanks. I'm
you.
so excited.
Thank you.
Thank you.